It's an early season test for the Hawks of Monmouth University as they welcome the nationally ranked Scarlet Knights of Rutgers University to Kessler Stadium. A good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Alongside Erica Kaufman-D'Elia, I'm Andrew Byrne. Last time out, Monmouth 18-9 victors over George Mason, and Erica, they did so behind a balanced offensive attack.
That's right. It was a beautiful way to start the season with a big win. 18 of those goals from 7 different scorers, and 7 of them were assisted, so it was a really balanced effort from the attacking unit.
This Rutgers club, like Monmouth, won their season opener. They did it in a top 10 battle, come from behind a victory over Jacksonville, and one of their keys in that game that you're looking forward to today is that attacking mentality.
That's right. The Scarlet Knights plan to bring a strong level of play from the very first whistle and maintain that throughout the full 60 minutes of play. Rutgers will need good production from their attacking core to put points on the board and pull off a win on the road, albeit a very short one.
For Monmouth, vacuum cleaner moments, and we're not quite talking about getting those chores done.
That's exactly right. I'm using some of Coach Jordan Troutman's verbiage here with the vacuum cleaner moments, but what that really means is those draw controls, ground balls, second chances all over the field are the major keys for Monmouth today. The Hawks will need to manage those 50-50 opportunities to gain possession to compete with the gritty and talented Rutgers squad.
And while these clubs may not be in the same conference, this game still has the feel of a rivalry.
Absolutely. This is an interstate battle between two tough and talented lacrosse teams with matching 1-0 records. I expect the next 60 minutes to be a physical battle where we will all see a lot of hustle and heart on display from both teams. The team that outworks the other to create more opportunities will likely come out with the win today.
Well, it was perfectly said, Erica. A rivalry game between Monmouth and Rutgers. These two teams have done battle over the years, but this is the first meeting between the two sides in West Long Branch in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, and I know it's a game that this Monmouth squad is very much looking forward to. Rutgers brings such a high level of play, and they're really excited to see how they match up today.
Monmouth, as Erica mentioned, won their season opener in West Long Branch 18-9. 7 different Hawks found the back of the net as we take a look at the starting lineups, and one player who stood out in that one was the grad student Cassidy Orban.
Cassidy Orban really does it all for this Hawks squad. She brings great leadership as a grad student. She really starts her game at the draw where she wins so many of those. She's able to score goals. She puts assists up to help her teammates, and they really rely on her on all facets of the game.
Orban had 4 goals and 1 assist, and let's talk for a moment about the goalkeeper for Monmouth. The freshman, a true freshman in Gia Mitchell, was splendid last week.
She sure was, and I talked to Coach Troutman about her performance just a couple of days ago, and she said that Gia did exactly what they needed her to do as a freshman starting. They didn't expect her to be a true leader and super vocal at this point in the season yet. They just need her to make saves, and that's exactly what she did to help Monmouth win so decisively.
Orban was getting ready to pull the trigger on a first shot and first whistle.
You could see the Rutgers defender as she slid to Orban, who's such a threat inside that 8, just found herself in the shooting space, which puts Orban on the line for her first free position attempt.
A career best 44 goals a season ago. Second Hawk in program history to be named MAC Midfielder of the Year. As Rutgers has possession for the first time today, they're coming off a victory. They took on Jacksonville in Florida on the 12th of February, and they came from behind to beat them in a top 25 clash 9-7 as we get a look at their starting lineup. And everything seems to go for Rutgers, at least defensively, through the senior Megan Ball.
Absolutely. She is a name that you hear consistently. You heard it all last season. You will hear all this season for her efforts in that Jacksonville game that you were just referencing. She won the IWLCA Defensive Player of the Week to go along with her many other accolades. And she had such an impressive stat line in that game. She had 10 draw controls, 5 ground balls, 4 caused turnovers. So starting her season exactly the way she wanted to as a leader of this strong defensive unit.
And this veteran Rutgers program turns to a junior in goal in Sophia Cardello, who made 10 saves in that victory while conceding 7 goals. Cardello was 14-5 last season.
We talked about both goalies already. It's such an important part to any true successful team is as that goalkeeping, that final line of defense, being able to sometimes be the game changer, the difference maker, and really just looking for those big stops to fire up the rest of the team.
This is a Rutgers club that enters the day nationally ranked. They're number 8 off their best season in program history. A Single season record, 16 victories a season ago. They were 16-5 and 4-2 in the always tough Big Ten Conference.
Melissa Lehman has done such a nice job with this program. She was hired by Rutgers in 2019, and they've just gotten better and better under her tutelage. And like you said, coming off their best season yet and looking to do even better, really to make improvements on what was such an impressive season just a year ago.
And for fans that are, well attuned to lacrosse, she's a name that should sound familiar. She attended Shore Regional High School. She was an All-American in high school, so that is a familiar name probably to some Monmouth fans.
Right. She is an Oceanport native, which is just a town or two over, but attended high school right here in West Long Branch. I actually talked to her just a couple hours ago, and it's kind of like coming home. It's a nice homecoming for her day. I'm sure she's got some friends and family in the stands here.
Reigning Big Ten Coach of the Year. She was the Mid-Atlantic Region Coach of the Year as well, as Ashley Moynihan's shot goes well over the net.
Yeah, Moynihan found herself right in that top center hash of the free position line after drawing a little bit too much contact from Monmouth's double team there.
Off this restart, probably a good time to pass along this afternoon's officials. Julie Wakis, BJ Marth, and Sandy Moody are in the stripes today on what is a perfect afternoon for women's lacrosse in mid-February. Temps right around 60 degrees.
Really is a beautiful day. Feels more like a end of season game than it does just the second game in.
Like the officials might have been discussing if the shot clock should reset to 90 on a deflection. Well, more than 3 minutes gone by, no one has scored. Monmouth playing host to a Rutgers club that has a bevy of talent on the offensive side. Cassidy Spillis had 2 goals in the season opener, and you look at her, a program record 69 goals last season, a big reason why Rutgers had their best season ever.
Absolutely. She is such a force, and along with her, 2 other returning All-Americans in Ball and Hartshorn, so really a lot of high-level players on this Rutgers team, a lot of depth on this team as well, and even a couple of freshmen in their debut who were contributors in their first win over Jacksonville. So nice stacked squad here for Rutgers.
Well, they went back to the original shot clock, no reset, as it was at 48, and Rutgers with possession. So we got a great look at Kate Carolonza, had 2 goals. Junior out of Mountain Lakes, New Jersey. Readies for the free position opportunity. Right hash. Mitchell makes her first save. The freshman getting low. Bridgewater, New Jersey native. Earned the win in her collegiate debut out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. She was a 3rd-team All-State performer a season ago.
Really nice quick ball movement from Monmouth attacker after the midfield brought it into that attacking 30.
The pass was intended for Orban. It was behind number 19, and Rutgers off the turnover comes away with it. What are you seeing the first 4 minutes that you like from Monmouth?
Tough defense. We saw some double teams. We saw some high pressure on ball. They're creating opportunities for themselves once they get the ball transition into the attacking end. Some really sharp ball movement, hitting a lot of different players early on, which I think is nice to get everyone involved. Just not able to capitalize on those opportunities quite yet.
Scarlet Knights, that pass behind the intended target, but plenty of time for the Scarlet Knights to track it down, and a chance in front, and Mitchell comes up with a point-blank save.
Really great start for Mitchell so far with 2 saves against a really talented Rutgers attack that has so many weapons that can score in a lot of different ways. So it must be really comforting for her, really building her confidence to get those 2 early stops.
I know it's a very small sample, but just how impressed have you been with the true freshman Gia Mitchell in a game in 5 minutes?
Oh, I don't think she could have done much better to start this game. Again, Rutgers knows how to put points on the board, and she's made 2 stops. Like you said, last one from point-blank range, had some free positions already. So for her to hold Rutgers to 0 points more than 5 minutes into this game is a really great start for her.
Monmouth, their first year as members of the Colonial Athletic Association. They won't play their first CAA contest until the middle of March when they take on Elon. Last season, 12-7, 6-2 in their last season as members of the MAC. Still scoreless, nearly 6 minutes gone by. Both clubs with some good defense.
Yeah, Rutgers plays really tough defense. That's one of the things Coach Lehman noted that she was really impressed with after their first game against Jacksonville. Just how dynamic they were, how composed they were, how tough they were. And you can see here, we're at 10 seconds left on this shot clock for Monmouth. They haven't created an opportunity to get a legitimate shot off yet. Almost ate my words. They're able to get the feet inside and able to get the shot. And then the shot clock, because that shot was on cage, will reset with another fresh 60 seconds for Monmouth to work with.
Cardello comes up with the save on the shot from Orban as Monmouth gives it away.
Tried to hit Caroline Brennan inside with that, unable to handle the pass. You have Madison Carpier coming out of Rutgers' defensive end, carrying the ball over to her attackers. And if you'll allow me to indulge for just a moment, Maddie Karp, West Long Branch native, another short graduate, and happened to be my student in the 6th grade. So we go way back.
Well, that is pretty cool. Karp is in her sophomore season, had a tremendous debut season for the Scarlet Knights. Last year had 32 ground balls and 11 caused turnovers.
Yeah, she really came in as a freshman and made her mark, and is such an important part of a really strong defensive unit. So very proud of her. And then just to come back to Gia Mitchell once more, 3rd save, you can see her out of the cage, very active, looking the part of someone who's been doing this for much longer than she actually has.
We come down on 7:35 to play opening quarter. It has been a defensive struggle. If it stays this way, who does that favor?
That's a tough question. I know Monmouth's defense is a strong unit. They've just gotten better and better. There's more depth amongst their defenders than there has been in years. They're able to switch in and out of different defensive sets, and they certainly know what they're facing in an opponent with Rutgers. But Rutgers is known for their tough D. They play really strong. They hustle. You'll see this all over the field. Just then, hustling to those ground balls, forcing attackers to make mistakes. So I don't know, maybe a little bit more experience with the Rutgers D, but I think it's going to be a battle. And so far, they've both done their job for their teams.
Carolonza had some space, but Monmouth recovered quickly. Well, right as you were finishing your point, we saw one of those vacuum cleaner type chances, and Rutgers came away with it off that Monmouth turnover. It's led to this opportunity inside enemy territory.
I was fortunate enough to speak to both head coaches this week. I even had a little text conversation with Mary Kate George, and it was all about those 50-50 balls, those crown balls, those draw controls, and that was where everyone seems to think this game will be decided. And again, you have 2 powerful, strong, gritty teams. You could see a nice interception there from Monmouth defender Bree Falco to get the ball back in her team's hands. But just scrappy kind of came up. Gritty was the word that came up over and over again. And that's kind of New Jersey for you.
That's New Jersey also. McNeely, 1-0 Monmouth. 6:01 to play in the first quarter, and it's the Hawks who strike first.
Both teams really wanted to come out and make a statement early on. It took us quite a bit of time, 9 minutes, to get our first point on the board, and it was from Danielle McNeely, sophomore. Well, I remember last year she had her breakout moment, and she did not look back. A couple different Hawks touching the ball there. McNeely able to finish and just catch a goalie off guard, able to bury it low and in the corner to give Monmouth the first point of the day.
And it's the first goal of the season for the sophomore from Wallingford, Pennsylvania. Last year, 17 goals and 11 assists. Check that, it's the 3rd goal of the season for McNeely.
McNeely came in last season starting off the bench as a contributor, making her mark here and there, had a breakout game and has not looked back ever since now that she's in her sophomore campaign, picking up right where she left off last year and is a big part of this Monmouth midfield.
She had 2 goals and an assist in the season opening victory over George Mason, and that's her 3rd of the early spring season. And it's Monmouth in front 1-0 against Rutgers. Jenna Byrne, perfect pass out front, and just like that, the Scarlet Knights level the score. And it's Cassidy Spillis, who had a couple of goals in the comeback win over Jacksonville, that right away nets this one at 1.
Yeah, not surprising to see Rutgers fire back so quickly to even the score. Nice feed inside, and just a beautiful fake from Cassidy Spillis to get Gia Mitchell off guard and get Rutgers' first point of the day to tie the score.
Spillis alone in front on Mitchell and is able to beat the freshman netminder. Didn't take long for Rutgers to come right down the field and tie it up.
Well, it took us a little bit to break into the scoring, and then we have one for each team pretty close back to back.
You're a former Monmouth lacrosse coach. Why do you think that is? You play the first nearly 9 minutes or so without a goal, and then boom, 25 seconds later, it's 1-1.
Well, I think at the beginning, even though both teams want to start strong, there's not really a sense of urgency. You're trying to see what the other team is doing, looking to see what they're giving you, trying to get everyone in touch with the ball, moving things around, kind of getting your feet wet, so to speak, in the game. I think once Monmouth finally broke open that scoring drought, Rutgers, as talented as they are, is thinking we've got to equalize this, and they were able to do so very quickly. Lacrosse, too, though, we often say is a game of momentum. And you'll see momentum shifts not only amongst each separate team, where you'll see one go on a couple goal run, and then maybe it'll switch to the other team, but also just the game pace in general. And I know this is something that Melissa Lehman really talked about with her team, was just coming out with that fast-paced lacrosse. She wanted everything to be fast, to be sharp, to push the tempo of the game, I think were her words. She thought that would be something to her team's advantage. And both teams able to do that really well, knowing that they have a lot of depth on their bench, not only depth in numbers, but depth in the high level of players that they have just waiting in the wings to come in and make their mark.
Monmouth and McNeely on the free position, and McNeely tucked it in. Looked like it got underneath the arm of Cardello, and the Hawks cash in the free position opportunity.
And when you have tough defenses that play really strong, you'll find there are a lot of free position opportunities. And McNeely right on that inside left hash, again, able to find that bottom left corner and use the turf to her advantage to get a nice bounce shot in for her 2nd goal and Monmouth's 2nd goal of the day.
As we got another look, it deflected off Cardello and then into the net. McNeely with her 4th goal of the season, and Monmouth has a 2-1 lead. We have seen 3 goals in 58 seconds.
Yeah, what did I say before we went? Was it 9 minutes, I think, with nothing? And then 3. And that's really what you expect to see with 2 high-level teams. As strong as the defenses are, as good as both goalkeepers are, lacrosse is a high-scoring game. And even though we had a little bit of a slow start, at least in that aspect of the game, I think that's something that we'll see trend upward as the game progresses.
McNeely, who scored twice last week in the victory over George Mason, has 2 first-quarter goals today against number 8 Rutgers. And once again, Monmouth in front by a goal. Byrne, who had the assist on that first goal, was looking for Ava Kane, and Monmouth comes up with a defensive stop.
Nice tight defense within the 8 led to that caused turnover. Gia Mitchell able to come up with the ball and has lots of time. Now that she's out of her crease, there is no time limit on how long she's able to hold on to the ball. Tried to clear it to McNeely, just went a little bit too far, and because it went out of bounds, it will now become a Rutgers ball.
Rutgers with possession. Trailing by 1 as we come down on the final 4 minutes to play in the first quarter. Alongside Erica Kaufman-D'Elia, I'm Andrew Byrne. We thank you so much for tuning in on Lacrosse TV and the Monmouth Digital Network. There's a collision. Might we have a card? First, we'll have a discussion.
There was some big contact there right inside Monmouth's defensive 8-meter. You could see a double team came. I could hear the stands even through the glass. I could hear spectators calling for a charge, but it looks like ball's going to go to Rutgers, and they're calling it too much contact from the defense.
Mitchell comes up with the loose ball. It looked like Spillis, sensing the contact, has had the ball fall out of her stick.
Yeah, exactly. Monmouth really brought a good crash there with multiple defenders coming in on the ball handler. Just not able to get a good shot off that close to the crease. Gia Mitchell able to come up with it and have a successful clear.
Rutgers was in a defensive struggle in their season opener with Jacksonville. That was a game that they trailed 7-5 in the fourth quarter before they erupted for 4 goals over the last 12 minutes to beat the 19th ranked Dolphins. Start off their season with a victory. Last year, Rutgers knocked off 6 nationally ranked opponents, and they start their season with a top 25 victory.
Monmouth unable to handle that feed inside. Cardello comes up with the ball. You know, one of the things I was talking to Jordan about just a couple days ago, Jordan Troutman, the head coach here at Monmouth, her thoughts about playing a top 10 team so early on in the season, and she was scheduled this way specifically. She knows that Rutgers is a great team. They have a ton of momentum, but they're a different team than they were last year, and she's really hoping to maybe surprise some people, like you mentioned, coming off of a road trip, a close come-behind win, and she thought it was in Monmouth's favor to go against them this early on in the season. And you might think that this would be a game that you'd be better prepared for a little bit later on with some more game experience under your belt, but she was really excited about the opportunity to knock off a number 8 team this early in the season and just add that New Jersey battle that we keep referencing. But it really is. It's such a gritty mentality between these two teams, and it's going to be a battle all day, and it's been such a close game so far. It's been exciting to watch. You
mentioned tempo before. Are we seeing the tempo that Monmouth wants to play with?
I think both teams came out on fire. They both wanted to start strong, and we saw a lot of, you know, fast movement in all facets of the game. And I think now that both teams have settled in a little bit, they certainly have their moments to push that tempo, but there's also moments that we're witnessing right now where Monmouth attack is nice and spread. They're working the ball around. They're looking for those good opportunities with no need to force anything at this stage of the game. So I think we'll see that kind of come and go throughout the game at different stages and as the score changes as well.
Great denial by Rutgers on the cutter. Forces Monmouth to regroup with Brock. 2 goals and an assist in the season opener against George Mason. It's Brock through traffic and coming up to stop Cardello.
Right, able to get that feed inside to Brock. She's got great height. She's really good at using that to her advantage. But again, with that tough Rutgers defense, it just closed in on her, unable to get a good shot off.
She is the tallest player on Monmouth's club this season at 5'11".
We talk about those scrappy hustle stats, those 50-50 balls. Monmouth just able to come up with that ground ball in the midfield to get possession left here with less than a minute. I would imagine here they have plenty of time that they're going to take some time, eat a little bit of clock, and work to get that last shot of this first quarter.
Shot clock not a factor with 30 seconds to play. First quarter. A defensive struggle throughout. Monmouth leading by 1 behind 2 first period tallies from Danielle McNeely. Nearly a Monmouth turnover. And now the Hawks do turn it over. And that's how the first quarter ends. So Monmouth does not get a shot to end the final stanza, but they do lead 2-1 behind a couple of goals from Danielle McNeely. You're watching live on Lacrosse TV. This afternoon's broadcast of the Monmouth Hawks on Lacrosse TV and the Monmouth Digital Network is brought to you in part by the Monmouth Medical Center and RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. And by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Great Coca-Cola taste, zero sugar. Well, partner, not a lot of scoring in that first quarter. Defense took center stage, and after the first 15 minutes, it's Monmouth behind a pair of tallies from Danielle McNeely in front of number 8 Rutgers by a goal.
Yeah, nice close battle here as we thought it might be. Pretty low scoring for Lacrosse. A little bit of a, I don't want to say it was a slow start, because from a game perspective it wasn't slow. From a scoring perspective it was a little bit slow. We didn't have any scoring for, I want to say it was about the first 9 minutes of play. And I think you can attribute that to two things. Really tough defenses on opposite ends of the field. And we had some good goaltending as well. Each goalie with a couple of saves to her name, 4 for Monmouth and 3 for Rutgers. So those are the reasons why I think we are starting our second quarter here with a score of just 2-1, but I would be very surprised if that doesn't change significantly throughout the next 3 quarters.
Hartshorn operate on the left side, the grad student with a goal and an assist in that victory over Jacksonville back on February 12th. Had 35 goals a season ago and 22 assists.
She is a big part of the recent success that Rutgers has seen.
And oftentimes you look, as we talked in that first quarter about Cassidy Spillis, 69 goals, but they had so many secondary pieces, and that was a big reason why they had so much success a season ago.
Absolutely. There was a lot of depth on this Rutgers squad. One of the things that Coach Lehman was noting just a little bit earlier today was that she's looking for her attackers, those low attackers, to just put up more numbers in this game comparatively to the first. She said her midfielders had a lot of numbers in those stat lines, and especially with Titi Neslonsky graduating last year, she put up huge numbers for scoring for Rutgers. She's looking for her attackers, who are quite dynamic, just to fill those gaps. Speaking of scoring, really strong goal here for Monmouth's attacking unit.
Came right down the field after Rutgers had the first possession, and for the first time this afternoon, Monmouth has a 2-goal lead.
Able to capitalize off of Rutgers' mistake down low. Beautiful feed inside to Maddie Murphy, and you can see she really wanted to score. Beautiful, strong finish to give Monmouth a 2-goal lead.
Caroline Brennan, who was second on the team last season in helpers with 20, hands out one there for Murphy. Brennan, one of the better distributors in the area, picks up the assist, already her 3rd this season, as Murphy tallies her 1st.
Yeah, Brennan's been an impact player since she started here as a freshman last year. She's another one with great height. She's so confident. She's got such a nose for the goal, and she's so proficient with either hand. And I know most players really are at this high D1 level, but to watch her play, when I first started watching, I was like, is she a lefty? Is she a righty? Because she just does both so seamlessly, and she's had such a big impact on the attacking unit of this Monmouth squad last year and then again into this season.
Maddie Murphy nets her 1st of the season. Monmouth has a 2-goal lead. Comes a $1:49 into the second quarter.
Spillis with the draw and going right to cage with a head full of steam. Able to get a back check, so she isn't able to get a good shot off here. And Monmouth, you can see running through the midfield on their transition.
I think that was McNeely, who has taken center stage this afternoon thus far, and it was number 12 with the solid defense from behind on Spillis. Monmouth played a pretty good defensive game in their season opener, held George Mason to 9 goals. We talked so much in the open about the offense, but they did a good job defensively.
Yeah, they did. And Jordan had mentioned to me, Coach Troutman, that she has a lot of depth with her defense this year, which has given them more opportunity to use different defensive sets, sometimes relying on a zone, sometimes going into a man situation. And she just feels, and this is kind of a bold statement, but I'm going to use her words. She said this is the best team she's coached since she's been here at Monmouth, and one of the main reasons is all of that depth.
Mitchell came up with another save. A strong first half from the freshman out of Bridgewater. Well, it's early in the season, but you can see that depth that Jordan Troutman, the reigning MAC Coach of the Year, was talking about with Erica and the build-up to this showdown.
Hartshorn takes a big shot there, sails wide of the net.
Moynihan behind the net for a Rutgers club that was held to 1 goal in the first quarter and haven't scored, as you can see, in this second quarter. Out of a 5-player scrum, it's Brock and plenty of open space for Monmouth.
Monmouth looking to take advantage of this fast break, trying to keep the ball moving quickly so that Rutgers isn't able to set in their defense. Back to 7 aside here.
We had a whistle as that pass was heading behind the net.
Ella Spears trying to hit Caroline Brennan behind the cage. Ball winds up top here. Must have had some sort of off-ball foul to put Monmouth on the line for a free position opportunity from that inside hash.
Monmouth converted a free position in the first quarter. And kind of a tough angle.
Right. That was freshman Shea Berrigan, opted not to take the shot to give her team a better opportunity. And that's a name we haven't mentioned yet, but true freshman, coming off a heck of a debut, 4 goals on 4 shots. So we'll see how long she can keep that perfect shot percentage going. But a really impressive way to start the season for her. And that got her the CAA Rookie of the Week award. Well deserved.
Yeah, I'm not sure many players can start their lacrosse career better than she did. Did not miss. 4 goals for a player out of Massachusetts who very familiar with finding the back of the cage. More than 200 goals in her high school career at Hingham High School.
And that makes sense when I asked Coach Troutman about that performance, why she wasn't surprised. She was kind of like, that's what she does, and that's what we expect from her. So living up to the hype. Good for her.
She was a lacrosse All-American a season ago, and that shot finds the back of the cage. Hartshorn.
Yeah, Marin Hartshorn with that strong left hand. We'll take another look at this goal here. You can see her coming around, goes from the right to the left, long, strong drive to cage, and just buries it right past Gia Mitchell on that bottom right corner.
Went right back across her body. And Hartshorn, who had a goal and an assist, and the victory over Jacksonville, picks up her 2nd of the season as Rutgers pulls to within 1. She was a honorable mention All-American, was Hartshorn a season ago at 35 goals and 22 assists.
She's one of those attackers that Coach Lehman's really looking to put some points, some big numbers up for Rutgers as they graduated some of their big goal producers last year.
Well, you mentioned one of them, and Carolyn Naslansky at TT. How about a single season program record 90 points a season ago?
Right. She broke some pretty big Rutgers scoring records last year. She had herself a banner season. I know they will miss her, but again, we talk about the depth on these teams, and it's just kind of like, who's the next man up? Who's going to be the one to take on that scoring role? And there's certainly plenty of weapons here on this Rutgers team that can do that.
She's a volunteer assistant coach on Coach Lehman's staff this season.
Oh, after a little bit of battle, you have Cassidy Orban come away with the draw. Tried to dish it off to Spears. Spears unable to handle the pass. Unfortunately, they had a man-up opportunity there. Really good scoring opportunity, just unable to get a shot off.
2-on-1, but no shot for Monmouth. 10 minutes to play, first half. Hawks by 1 against number 8 Rutgers. Warren, sophomore out of Westchester. Plenty of time with which to work.
Rutgers looking for the equalizer here to tie this game up at 3 apiece.
Warren just missed.
You could see Warren coming down that left side elbow, really wanted to switch that stick back into her right hand, and that's where she met some defensive pressure, unable to get a shot off as there was some stick-to-stick contact.
Was loose for a moment, but the Scarlet Knights still have it. Dangerous pass into traffic.
Freshman Ava Kane here, who drew that contact inside of the 8 meter, is going to put herself, it appears to be on that top center hash.
Kane, freshman who scored in her collegiate debut, turned aside this time by Mitchell. A battle of freshmen, and it's Monmouth's goalkeeper who comes up with the save.
Great shot there, freshman goalkeeper Gia Mitchell setting herself up to face yet another free position shot from Rutgers. And that's the thing, you want to play tough defense, you want to put a lot of pressure on, but with that does come some fouls. And when they occur inside that 8 meter arc, that's when you'll put the other team on the line to take a free position shot.
Well, she had 5 saves in the season opener on February 10th, already has recorded 7 saves in the first half. And an official's timeout as they sort out the shot clock.
Yep, and there you see it reset to a fresh 90 seconds. There's a change in possession. You can see Monmouth with the ball behind their own cage, looking to start the transition.
Dangerous pass. Was able to find the target, and Monmouth is away with it. McNeely rifled one just over the crossbar, but there was a whistle.
McNeely was coming down right down the center of the field with a full head of steam. And when you do things like that, you create opportunities for yourself. Defense needs to slide. They often slide into shooting space, which looks like that's exactly what happened here. And McNeely giving herself another scoring opportunity today.
Free position chance for the sophomore. Aiming for a hat trick. Not this time. Cardello comes up with the save.
Nice little elbow save there by Sophia Cardello in cage for Rutgers.
Cardello made 10 saves against Jacksonville. That's the 5th time in the last 2 seasons she's made double-digit saves. Coming off a 14-5 record a season ago. Moynihan in front, ties it up.
Nice little give and go there for Rutgers, working around that crease to finally get themselves the equalizer to make it 3 apiece.
Rutgers goal scored by number 22, Ashley Moynihan.
We'll take another look at Moynihan's goal here. You can see the quick pass inside, able to just get one step ahead of her defender and put it just above Gia Mitchell for Rutgers' 3rd goal of the day.
They've scored the last 2, and the game is tied at 3. With 7:20 left to play in this first half. Moynihan picking up her 3rd goal of the season at 10 as a sophomore. A strong response from the Scarlet Knights after Maddie Murphy's goal early in this quarter put Monmouth in front by 2.
Orban, nice way to grab that draw out of the air. You can see the pressure, the big swing, and I was going to say I'm surprised not to hear a whistle, and it came right away. When you see those big swings, those checks that follow through all the way to the ground, it's almost always going to be a foul against the person trying to make that check.
Brennan! What a move! And just like that, the Hawks go back in front. It's the 18th straight game with a goal dating back to last season for the sophomore. And Monmouth ahead 4-3.
Quick answer for Brennan. Again, using her size, getting inside that 8 meter and bearing that shot to the top right corner to give Monmouth the lead once more.
The preseason All-CAA selection had 4 goals and 2 helpers in the season opener and finds the back of the cage.
And that starts from the draw. The draw control is such an important stat that we keep in women's lacrosse. And if you take a look at the draws, we can see that it's an even match right now. And it's very common when you see an even stat line in the draw controls that you see a score that's pretty close as well.
And it goes back to the point you made earlier in this game when you talked about how lacrosse is a game of momentum. Oftentimes that momentum comes from which team wins multiple draw controls.
Right, and you could see Orban with that last draw, and that's something that she does so well. I forget the number, but she had a huge number of draw controls last year. It's such a vital part of Monmouth's success. I know they're thrilled to have her back again this year, but it started with that draw control. When you're able to move the ball quickly and put points up quickly off those draws, it's just a really exciting thing that does build that momentum in women's lacrosse.
123 draw controls last season. That, the new single season mark.
I knew it was a big one. I didn't know the exact number, but I knew it was up there. That is such an impressive stat. And that is a hustle stat. That is a hard stat. And I know we keep kind of coming back to that theme today, but that's really what it's all about in this game.
As Monmouth turns it over. Hawks by 1, under 6 to play first half. Alongside Erica Kaufman-DeLee, I'm Andrew Byrne. Our producer, Andrew Kurtz, we thank you for joining us on Lacrosse TV. Presentation, the Monmouth Digital Network, where Monmouth thus far has held their own against nationally ranked Rutgers, leading by 1. The last time Rutgers was here at Kessler Stadium, it was 2020. Monmouth beat Rutgers by 4, 16-12 in a game that was 6-6 at the half. Spillis. And too much contact for Monmouth.
Yeah, a player like Spillis, just you see that number 8 flashing through the 8 meter, and you know there's going to be some contact there. A little bit too much from the Monmouth defenders to put her on the line, but she is such a threat, really all over the field, that you know Monmouth is going to put pressure all over that.
First team All-American, had 69 goals. We told you earlier that was a program record, and Spillis on the free position buries it.
See, just such a quick first step right off that line, just like many players do with the draw control. A lot of scores on the free position line. You could see, able to watch the official to get just a fraction of a second. She almost started early, but able to just get that quick start off and just so confident. Nice low shot past Gia Mitchell, and we're back with the tied score.
We get a look at Rutgers' fourth-year head coach, Melissa Lehman, the reigning Big Ten and IWLCA Mid-Atlantic Region Coach of the Year. And what a job she has done in short order at Rutgers, 16-5 a season ago. They won their opening round game at the NCAA tournament last season, beat St. Joseph's. Program that is on the rise, and they were ranked in the preseason poll at number 8. They stayed there this week after their victory over the 19th ranked Dolphins of Jacksonville last week to kick off the 2023 season.
All right, and entering into this 2023 season, coming off of back-to-back NCAA appearances, that's something that Rutgers is going to look to replicate again this year.
A Rutgers club that before Coach Lehman got there had been to the NCAA tournament one time in 43 seasons. And as you mentioned, now back-to-back appearances.
Right, really making a name for themselves in women's lacrosse, a program that's seen tremendous growth over the last few years. And once you have that growth and you get that publicity, that notoriety, it's going to help you with recruiting, and you're just going to become a better team as the years progress.
Cardello comes up with a big save. What looked to be a broken play. Monmouth gets off a pretty good shot. Cardello comes up with the save. Well, we told you the last meeting in West Long Branch 3 years ago was 6-6 at the half. We're 4-4 this afternoon. 4:25 left to play. In the first half, Monmouth, nationally ranked Rutgers. From beautiful Kessler Stadium on campus of Monmouth University. Rutgers on the far side. Out in front, Kane is tackled.
Quick feed inside to freshman Kane right on the crease. Doesn't give her a lot of room to maneuver or work to get a shot off. You can see number 6, Mary Kate George, the vocal and physical leader of this Monmouth defense, credited with that foul, putting Kane on the line.
Free position. Kane stopped by Mitchell. As the big rebound is controlled by Rutgers. Boy, we've said it a couple of times, but Gia Mitchell has been superb in this first half for Monmouth.
It's so hard, I can imagine, it's so hard for a goalie, any goalie, let alone a freshman, only her second start, to come up with those big saves at point-blank range against a team that's as talented and as physical as this Rutgers squad, and she's just doing it again and again. One of the main reasons why we're looking at a tied score here this afternoon, considering that Rutgers has the significant edge, 18-8 in shots over Monmouth. So Rutgers is certainly creating the opportunities for themselves, not able to finish. We've seen a lot of those shots sail wide. A great takeaway there for Cassidy Orban to intercept that pass. But as I was saying, we've seen a lot of those shots sail wide, and we've seen Gia Mitchell come up with some huge saves just to finish that thought.
8 and counting. Looking for Brennan. Monmouth gives it back.
Unfortunate for Monmouth, that's 2 opportunities in a row where they had some momentum and they had some numbers and just unable to handle a pass to give it right back to Rutgers.
Byrne. It pinballs around and winds up inside the stick of Mitchell. How important is the next 2:45 for Monmouth?
It's important, I would imagine, with 2:40 left, a tied game with Rutgers. They're in a great place at this point in the game. It would be really nice just from a mental perspective to head into the locker room at halftime with a lead. Obviously, there's no urgency to get that final point on the board as there would be if this was quarter 4, but still a really nice thing. We talk about momentum, and to be able to head into the locker room for either team really with the lead here would be something remarkable. So Monmouth has some time here. They've got just under a minute to work with, and I know after those 2 kind of missed opportunities with the last 2 attacking drives that they're really going to want to take advantage of this one here.
It was 2-1 Monmouth after the first. We're 4-4 here. Brennan. Perfect pass, and it's Monmouth right before halftime that goes in front.
And that's what happens when you give Brennan that time to work. And you talked about it before. Not only is she a scorer, but she also sets up her teammates so well. And those are the 2 we talked about, Brennan and Brock, with all the height on this Monmouth squad. Brennan switching to her left, sees Brock streaking straight through the middle, and a really great opportunity for her to finish, give her team the lead, which they're going to want to build on or at least maintain with 2 minutes left in this first half.
Immediately, Brock turned and pointed to Brennan. Perfect find from the facilitator. And Brock scores her 3rd goal of the season, and the Hawks lead by 1.
And we've mentioned that this attacking unit for Monmouth is dynamic. They have a lot of different players who can score. We referenced 7 of them who did so in their first game. And they can do it in a lot of different ways. So we have some strong sticks, we have some strong bodies. Coach Troutwell is noting how creative they are, and they're playing at such a high level of lacrosse. So it's nice that we've seen goals come from different players and in different ways throughout the first half of this game.
How much does that size of Brock help her in those scrums trying to corral passes?
Oh, it absolutely does. I think it helps in a lot of different ways if you know how to use it. Obviously, you have that extension with your stick. Really, in any aspect of the game, you're trying to reach to catch those high balls. You can maybe feed her a little bit higher inside if you're matched up against some shorter defenders. And you also have more room to kind of maneuver with that stick, more opportunity with angles at the cage. So Maya Brock on the draw and around the net is really good at using her height, as is, like we mentioned before, Caroline Brennan.
Had 2 goals and an assist in the season opener, also had 5 draw controls, and finishes off the find from Brennan. And with 2:02 left to play in the first half, Monmouth, despite being outshot by 9, has a 5-4 lead. And one category that stands out, we oftentimes talk about shots, but shots on goal usually tells the story. Monmouth 5 goals on 9 shots on goal. Rutgers 4 goals on 12 shots on goal, and that's the difference.
Right, so Rutgers seems to have created more opportunities for themselves, but it looks like Monmouth is much more efficient with their shots. 9 shots, 9 on goal, and 5 of them for a point.
Certainly helps to have the strong play in goal from Gia Mitchell, which they have received this afternoon.
I really don't think you could expect anything more from what she's given in this first half. Hopefully that's something she'll be able to maintain throughout the second half of play today.
Rutgers comes away with the draw control. Moynihan.
That was McNeely on Moynihan. So not only does McNeely score, but you can see her putting a lot of defensive pressure throughout the midfield as well.
She came back earlier in this game and had a great defensive play from behind. Some room for Moynihan, closing quickly Monmouth. And Jelly with a good defensive play.
We have a bit of a differential between the shot clock and the game clock here in the first half, so this will not be the last opportunity, and obviously it's not here as we see the ball with freshman goalkeeper Gia Mitchell. Monmouth has 1:10 here left to work in this first half. Mentioned before, hoping to extend their lead. It's a great thing to be able to say that you're up 2 goals against number 8 Rutgers as you head into the half.
Under a minute to play, Monmouth in possession. Brennan, who has handed out a couple of assists in this quarter. 2 helpers last week in the victory over George Mason. She was an all-rookie selection a season ago. Monmouth's leading point producer as a freshman, 66 points a season ago.
Oh, it's nice when you have so much depth on a squad, and I know I keep coming back to that, but that's something Jordan talked quite a bit about, is that I'm sure they have their place here for these situations when you have just a limited amount of time and you want to put a point on the board, but there's so many different options now when you have all 7 players that you probably feel pretty comfortable with taking this last shot of the half. McNeely with the ball now, who's had a couple goals today, unable to get a shot off, looking to feed it inside.
It's still loose, final 10 seconds. And it's Rutgers possession, and it's also the end of the first half. A solid first half for Monmouth on home turf in West Long Branch. Monmouth leads number 8 Rutgers 5-4. You're watching live on Lacrosse TV. From West Long Branch, New Jersey, and beautiful Kessler Stadium, Monmouth has a 1-goal lead over nationally ranked Rutgers at the half, 5-4. Alongside former Monmouth player and coach Erica Kaufman-D'Elia, I'm Andrew Byrne. And Erica, as good a first half as Monmouth could have hoped for.
Absolutely. From every phase of the game, we saw strong goaltending and freshman goalkeeper Gia Mitchell. We saw a defensive battle on really both ends of the ball with both teams. And then Monmouth attack just being efficient and using all of their weapons to get the lead by a goal heading into the half.
How important was that tally with 2:02 left in the first half for Monmouth?
I mentioned it a couple times throughout the first half of the game. I think it's such a mental thing to be able to say, we're going into the second half, we have a lead, something they've had from the very first goal. They've never been trailing, and I know that's something they're going to look to build on in the second half.
I know we talked about Gia Mitchell, but from a defender standpoint, how much does it help the defense to know you have a brick wall behind you?
Oh, absolutely. They really work in tandem, the goalie and the defense. The goalie is your last line of defense. Gia Mitchell has done everything the Monmouth could have asked her to do today, but really behind the play of a strong defensive unit as well. To hold Rutgers to 4 goals in a first half is really great work from the Monmouth defensive unit.
Let's talk a bit now about nationally ranked Rutgers. It seems every time Monmouth has scored, they've had a response. They were down by 2 at 3-1. They came back to tie it at 3-3. What kind of response do you expect from them in the second half?
I think you're going to see Rutgers come out on fire. I know I mentioned early on they wanted to start this game strong. They wanted that really strong attacking mentality. They've created a lot of opportunities for themselves with their number of shots and their shots on goal. But like we mentioned, the Monmouth defense and the Monmouth goaltending just hasn't been able to allow them to score as many points as they would have liked to score in the first half of this game.
Cassidy Spillis has a couple of goals already. You expect the offense to run through her?
I do. I think she's a leader. I think Hartshorn as well is looking to pick up some of that slack that graduated with Neslonsky last year. But again, Rutgers is a loaded squad with a lot of different weapons, and they can score in a lot of different ways.
Monmouth has a 1-goal lead over number 8 Rutgers in the first meeting in West Long Branch in 3 years. It's halftime on Lacrosse TV. Halftime at the Jersey Shore, a battle of
Game decided in those heart and hustle stats that are pretty even so far today.
Do those first half stats live up to that key to the game about the vacuum cleaner stats you wanted to see?
I think so. We have the differential in draw controls and ground balls is 1, and the difference in our score is 1. So I think it certainly has lived up thus far. And you mentioned it just a moment ago. The other one that stands out is that Gia Mitchell has double the saves of our Rutgers goalkeeper, Sophia Cardello. So another just testament to how strong and what a high level she's playing with today. And all the more impressive, we've said it a couple times, but for anyone just tuning in or who hasn't heard, a true freshman here. So really making her mark in that position for the Monmouth Hawks.
Had 5 saves last week in her collegiate debut and has 8 saves today against nationally ranked Rutgers. Monmouth with a 1-goal lead as we start this third quarter. The sophomore Maddie Flynn moves in and might have had her shot partially blocked from behind as it caroms out of play.
Yeah, it looked like there was some contact on her stick, which changed the trajectory of her shot. Monmouth able to keep possession with the player closest to that goal line as the ball went out of bounds.
For a couple of seconds, looked like Flynn had a clear path to the cage and Cardello. Sophomore had career-high performance last week against George Mason. 2 goals and 1 assist. Brennan, who had a strong first half, dished out a couple of assists. McNeely had a couple of goals in the first half, and it's McNeely who has it taken away.
And there's that tough Rutgers defense that we've referenced a couple times throughout today's broadcast. It's very rare that you'll see a Monmouth ball handler without a red shirt right next to her, putting on all the pressure and trying to force those turnovers.
Rutgers keeps it on the near side with Moynihan, a Rutgers club that was so good last season, and just like that, they tie it up.
Yeah, beautiful give and go work there to get the ball back in Dixon's hand for the finish, and the first goal of the second half to score, to tie the score. And we'll take another look at that here. Beautiful feed inside to Dixon from Jenna Byrne. So we have there a senior to a freshman, nice connection and a beautiful finish to even out the score.
That is the first collegiate goal for Lily Dixon, who was a USA Lacrosse All-American a season ago out of Kent Island High School. And her father, a very, very good lacrosse player at Towson. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was a third-team All-American during his playing days. Kind of continuing the tradition of Dixon family members going to college and playing in college. Her mom, Julie, a gymnast at Towson. Her brother, Parker, played lacrosse at Lynchburg, and she just picked up her first collegiate goal, and it was a big one. It ties the game at 5.
You could see the ref setting up the draw control here, and I reference this quite a bit throughout different broadcasts, but the draw, not only is it such an important stat line, but it's such an interesting kind of dance between the two players as they set it up and the different styles, and you see Monmouth switch in and out between Maya Brock and Cassidy Orban as their draw control specialists.
Rutgers, an opportunity to take a lead here.
Would be their first time of the game.
Goal scorer just tied it up. Dixon has it in her stick. Poked away momentarily, but they have it back.
Good pressure there by one of Monmouth's top defenders in Bree Falco. Good hustle by Rutgers to keep the ball in their possession with 45 seconds left to work.
.25 left to play in the third quarter. Rutgers and Monmouth even at 5. Rutgers 14-3. The all-time series against the Hawks that dates back to 1996. And for the first time this afternoon, the Scarlet Knights have a lead.
No surprise that comes at the stick of Cassidy Spillis. You could see as that big pass went all the way across to her, she reaches nice and high to grab it, to keep it in play, which was impressive to begin with. And then she just heads right through that 8-meter, protects her stick so well. Another beautiful fake, and able to finish to give Rutgers their first lead of today's match.
Well, what did we talk about at halftime? The offense run through number 8 as she tallies her third of the game.
Exactly what you would expect from your big players, names like Cassidy Spillis. She's going to be someone they're going to look to a lot in this second half to lead the Rutgers team really on both ends of the ball. Spillis, one of their top midfielders, kind of running the show for Rutgers on both ends of the ball. One of their returning All-Americans we referenced. You have Hartshorn, another leader, grad student on the attacking end. That real, you know, physical and vocal leader. And then Megan Ball kind of assuming that role on the defensive end for Rutgers. So lots of experience and depth all around.
Here you go, Meg. Here you go, Meg.
We have a great look at the official getting those sticks ready.
Right. You want them at a perfect angle. You want the players not to move once it's set. You can see the official adjusting the sticks. Equal pressure from both players. And once the official has it set exactly the way she wants it to her liking, there can be zero movement until that whistle blows. You'll see them both as the official starts to leave that drawing area. Well, she resets a little bit first. You'll see both players on the draw watching the whistle. We talked about this on the free position before, but even just a fraction of a second of an advantage is what these draw specialists want. And that draw didn't come out high enough that it is possession is awarded to Monmouth. No surprise, lots of pressure in the midfield from Rutgers. You can see those red shirts swarming around the white shirt with the ball.
And it leads to a turnover.
That big pressure paid off. They are certainly taking a risk, but in their case, it paid off. They're confident in their skills. They're confident in their hustle, and they are known to outwork their opponents, and we've seen that so far in this first half. The second half.
Spillis all the way to the cage, and Mitchell comes up with the stop.
Great deflection by Gia Mitchell to avoid giving Rutgers a second goal to pad their lead.
Good job.
Her 9th save of the afternoon. And with the momentum tilting in Rutgers' favor, that is a big save.
Here we go. Keep pushing.
Have you noticed any differences from Rutgers early in this third quarter as compared to the first half?
I just think they've come out really on fire in the second half, which is what I expected in the first half, but we had an arguably slow start. I think when they went in looking at themselves as this number 8 team with these huge expectations, and not to take anything away from Monmouth, they are an up-and-coming team. They are a great squad this year, but looking at Monmouth, an unranked team, thinking, you know, we got this, and really turning the tide, saying this is our time now to come out and show them who we are. And Monmouth is up for that challenge. They're excited about this challenge, this opportunity to see what they can do against a top-ranked program, knowing that this is what they're working toward. This is where they want to be, and they are certainly on their way.
Brennan went down. They'll play continues, and Ball, reigning National Defensive Player of the Week, came away with it.
And the other thing, just to add to what I was just mentioning about how they came out in the second half, is you see these big players. We talked about Spillis a couple times now. Not surprised to see the ball in her cross. She's one of the players that you're going to want to have the ball, because great players make great plays in these tight games. That's exactly what you would expect her to do. She's someone they can rely on, and they will certainly take advantage of her skill set and her experience in this close game.
Hartshorn contacted up high by Monmouth.
Good pressure by Monmouth's defensive unit. Just a little bit too much movement with the sticks there. Draws the foul and puts Hartshorn on the line. We saw a quick, hard release from her when she was on the line in the first half. See if she does the same here. Decides to pass it off.
And Spillis was alone, but another free position's coming for Rutgers.
Again, Spillis, they're looking for inside. She knows how to make things happen. Monmouth, nice pressure, just trying to avoid putting her on the line, because more times than not, that's exactly what she's going to do and score her team a goal. 4th
goal of the afternoon, and Rutgers goes in front by 2. They have scored the first 3 goals on quarter number 3.
Just a textbook free position opportunity there, right from that top center hash. Takes a couple of steps, quick little fake, and able to place her shot exactly where she wants it.
Cassidy Spillis, who a season ago scored 5 or more goals in a game 7 times, has 4 this afternoon, quickly approaching that number. And a timeout. Monmouth wants to talk it over. Rutgers with momentum, leading by 2 on Lacrosse TV. Back at Kessler Stadium, where Rutgers, behind a big second half from Cassidy Spillis, has a 7-5 lead. As we take a look at some of the goals from number 8, what stands out most about her?
You could see that she just plays with such confidence, and I think that comes from the success that she's had and all the experience that she has. I mean, she's won a ton of awards. She's a leader on this top program, and she plays like it. She's someone they're going to look to in these tough situations to give her team the edge, and she certainly has done that so far in this second half.
A prolific goal scorer in high school, more than 300 career goals for Seneca High School, and with Rutgers entering the season had 144 career goals. She has scored 4 times today. She has 6 on the season, and Rutgers, down 5-4 at the half, is outscoring Monmouth 3-0 in the second half. They lead 7-5. 9 minutes, 30 seconds left to play in this third quarter. Rutgers at one point was down in this game by a couple at 3-1. They battled back. taken the lead in quarter number 3. We'll see the response from Monmouth.
Focus, girls. Here we go.
This is certainly going to be an opportunity that Monmouth is going to want to take advantage of to close that gap a little bit that Rutgers has given themselves in this second half. Monmouth unable to produce a scoring opportunity in that drive. Now it's time for the defense and the goalkeeping to do their things so that Rutgers cannot extend their lead.
Beneducci made a nice play defensively for Rutgers, the senior. This is a Rutgers team that, despite some of those departures, is well balanced. They receive contributions from both upperclassmen and underclassmen, which bodes well for the present and the future.
Absolutely. They have some grad students here that are contributors. They have some seniors that are so experienced and are leaders on this team. But we've seen some action from some freshmen as well, too. And Coach Lehman said she was just really happy with how her freshmen have stepped up so early on in the season. She's got such high hopes and expectations for them. And every time they play, they're just getting better and getting more confident. So it is a really balanced roster here for this Scarlet Knights squad.
As someone who played college athletics, how eye-opening was it going from high school to college?
I think with lacrosse, and I not to date myself, but I played many moons ago, and overall the pace of the game from then to now has changed. The girls, they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. But I think one of the biggest differences is the sticks have changed so much. So the technology, so to speak, the equipment in lacrosse has changed so much, which has changed the style of play. But as you go from high school to college, I think it's not one or two kids that can really play. Now, I'll pause that thought for just a moment to take a look at this goal here for Rutgers. Just a beautiful take right from the top to give a high finish to extend Rutgers' lead to 3 goals. But as I was just mentioning before, it's when you're in high school, unless you're coming out of a top program, I know a lot of these girls on both teams have, and they play for these club teams now, which wasn't as commonplace when I was playing at that age. But now you go from playing in a high school, or maybe you have a couple of kids that are really good and a lot that just kind of do their thing in high school and don't have aspirations to play at the next level. And you're going to these teams where everyone was the best on their team and everyone on the bench was too. So you have a lot of depth, and it's just from top to bottom, you have players that are fast, that are strong, that are skilled, that have the complete package, that have a lot of experience and lacks IQ. And again, playing so long ago, there weren't as many opportunities for travel and club teams. There weren't as many opportunities to pick up a stick as young as these players have. So it's been nice just to see the growth of the sport.
Ashley Campo with Rutgers' 3rd free position goal of the afternoon. It's a 4-0 spurt for the Scarlet Knights in this 3rd quarter, and another draw control win. So no opportunity for Monmouth just yet to kind of flip the script.
And that's something Monmouth is going to want. They are going to need a big stop here. They don't want to let Rutgers extend their lead too much and dig themselves a hole that they're not going to be able to dig out of. So they're going to want to try to have these stops, and it looks like they're on the verge of one here with the ball in Gia Mitchell's stick. But now on the offensive end, being able to take advantage, we've had a couple missed opportunities from Monmouth's midfielders and attackers and not being able to get good shots off when they've had numbers or when they've had momentum.
It was loose on the carpet for a moment. Spears saves possession for Monmouth.
Good hustle by Ella Spears to keep the ball here with Monmouth. You can see them slowing things down. They didn't have the fast break. They looked for it. It wasn't there. Now they're going to slow things down, work it around, and work to get a higher shot percentage opportunity.
Monmouth club that has not scored in the second half.
Yeah, it seems to have been all Rutgers with the momentum in the second half, and Monmouth is going to look to change that tide here with this possession.
On the near side, Orban. And it's taken away.
Orban, so fast, so athletic. She was heading right to cage, and I think it was Spillis. We've talked about her on the offensive end, but Spillis just able to get a stick on Orban, so she isn't able to get a good shot off. Orban in her 2nd year here at Monmouth came here via Vanderbilt back to her New Jersey roots to finish out her collegiate career. And she's been such a difference maker for this team. She really does it all, starting from the draw, but she makes big defensive plays. She scores lots of goals. She's able to assist her teammates. So just such a vital part in all phases of the game for Monmouth.
And Orban was shown a yellow card for that foul after the turnover. So she is in the penalty area.
2 minutes now Monmouth will play as a player down. Rutgers working with a full 1.5-minute shot clock, looking to take full advantage of this player up opportunity.
It's Hartshorn who sends sprawling, and that foul is spotted, and it's going to be another booking to Monmouth.
And that's what happens sometimes with this high physical level of play. Maybe a little bit of frustration as Monmouth has given up their lead and Rutgers has extended it. You see these big plays, but once the refs start making those calls, it's whether you like them or not, you have to adjust your game a little bit, rein things in. Especially, you don't want to put your team, and I know that wasn't an egregious foul, but once the first card's there, you got to be careful. You don't want to put your team at such a disadvantage, and now Monmouth is playing 2 players down. And you have Rutgers with all the momentum now looking to take advantage of their player up opportunity, 2-player up opportunity, if you will.
Both seats that are allotted in the penalty area for each side filled with Hawks. First Orban, and now McNeely shown a yellow card, and Rutgers has a glorious opportunity here, 2 up.
And not only does it put your team at a disadvantage for the 2 minutes of the actual penalty, but it also requires you to adjust your game a little bit moving forward, as you don't want any subsequent cards or ejections from the game. And you could see here Monmouth in very much a big zone defensive stance with a lot of ground to cover, hoping for an opportunity to get the ball back here as Rutgers unable to handle the pass. A little bit of, looks like hockey there as the ball's on the ground, able to get it back in the sticks of Monmouth. And it looks like we have a timeout here on the field. You know, not a bad thing to give these girls a little bit of a breather as they're covering such ground.
So Rutgers leading by 3, and they're 2 up when we return to West Long Branch on Lacrosse TV. A critical juncture in this game as we welcome you back to Kessler Stadium on the beautiful campus of Monmouth University in West Long Branch, New Jersey. Rutgers already on a 4-0 run in this third quarter. They've come from 1 down at the half to take a 3-goal lead. And Erica, for the next 59 seconds until Orban's penalty expires, they are 2 up, so they can start to create more separation with some opportunities here.
Right, and I believe the ball is going to be in Monmouth's possession. And we'll see if they actually try to make something out of this play with 2 players down, or if they're just going to try to stay spread and eat a little bit of these penalties to try to get back to even numbers.
How exhausting is it to be the team that has 2 down to have to cover so much space?
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting when you play a team that plays the level Rutgers does when you're evenly matched. So to cover the ground, 5 players versus 7 and covering all that ground. Yeah, it's an intense couple of minutes, and it really is exhausting. That's the right word to use.
Monmouth has taken now a couple of timeouts in this third quarter. They have 1 timeout remaining. And Monmouth turns it over.
Right, not what they wanted there. They wanted to try to get possession and get it into the other end of the field to burn these penalties. I'm surprised that Gia Mitchell, and maybe this is an experience thing, didn't hold the ball a little bit longer. I was also surprised to see Rutgers not putting the pressure on with 2-player advantage. They could really throw 1 or even 2 right on Gia, maybe try to rattle her a little bit as a freshman with the ball. But unfortunately, Monmouth had kind of an unforced error there that put the ball back with Rutgers.
Still 20 seconds on the first card. That was to Orban. Monmouth is 2 down. Mitchell able to settle and collect.
Right, there wasn't even a shot there. There was a feed inside that Rutgers was not able to handle, and luckily Gia was ready there to come up with the ball.
Well, the first penalty expires as Orban comes racing out of the penalty area. Still another 20 seconds left on McNeely's.
And you could see Orban just flash in right off the bench, and she's the ball handler now, able to get herself open, able to take the ball into Monmouth's attacking 30. Not surprised to see Rutgers double. That's exactly what you would want to do when you have a man-up situation, is double ball, try to force a mistake, try to cause a turnover here.
Now McNeely's racing out, and Monmouth kills off both penalties. Might they feed off the momentum?
That's a big thing to say, that we went 2 minutes, 2 players down, and didn't give Rutgers an opportunity to score, because to be quite honest, I wouldn't have been surprised if we saw a couple of goals in that 2-minute span. Lacrosse is such a high-scoring sport, and you could score a goal so quickly in lacrosse. I mean, really, from the draw to get it down to the cage, I've seen it in a matter of 7 seconds it happens. The ball moves quite quickly. So really, a lot of credit to Gia Mitchell and Monmouth defense for not giving up too much, really anything at all, as they burned off those penalties.
As we see the defensive prowess from Megan Ball. And it's a turnover charge to Monmouth.
That's exactly what Megan Ball does so well. She's so composed, she's so confident, she's got that big stick and is able to cause a lot of turnovers to get possession back with Rutgers. And possession is such an important part of this game.
And 4 caused turnovers in the season opener. She's now over 100 in her career at Rutgers. She's had a strong day defensively for the Scarlet Knights as they lead by 3, 2:30 to play, third quarter.
And if Monmouth hopes to get themselves back in this game, and it's only a 3-goal game, but if they want to get back into this, they're really going to have to start chipping away and take advantage of the scoring opportunities that they've had, because they've had quite a few that they just haven't been able to capitalize on in this second half.
And Rutgers, who has already cashed in 3 free position opportunities, readies themselves for another. And it's Lily Dixon who scored her first collegiate goal earlier in this quarter.
Great collapse by Monmouth D, able to get the double on ball without committing a foul.
Out high, Moynihan.
McNeely putting a lot of pressure on. And Gabby Evangeli doing the same.
Monmouth has been held scoreless in this third quarter.
Great help there defensively by Shannon Philly. Monmouth got a little bit lucky as Philly went to double ball. That second slide wasn't there, left a Rutgers player. I believe it was Hartshorn wide open, just Rutgers unable to find her.
Behind the cage it goes. Here's one of those freshmen, Kane. And after a lot of action in the first and second quarter, we've had a lot of stop and start in this third quarter.
We have. We've had a lot of blown whistles, a lot of fouls. Not surprising. Again, I know we've come back to it multiple times, but both teams are strong. They play tough defense. It's a real gritty style of play amongst these 2 Jersey teams.
Shot clock violation against Rutgers. Kane knew it, so she just flipped it behind the net. Goes out of play, and it's Monmouth with possession. Under a minute in this third quarter, Rutgers defense has held strong in this third quarter as their offense has scored all 4 tallies.
They've held Monmouth scoreless in this third quarter. Not often you see a mistake there, but a little bit of a misfire, more so on the Orban catch than the Mitchell clear.
And another foul against Monmouth. Well, Rutgers can hold for the final shot. They're still setting players as the clock keeps running.
I keep looking to the left. We're just under 10 seconds now. Rutgers really hoping to get an opportunity here for one more shot before this quarter expires. About 3 seconds to get something off here.
They're not going to, and that's how the third quarter ends. Rutgers, though, outscores Monmouth 4-0 in the third quarter, and they lead by 3. It's 8-5, number 8 Scarlet Knights on Lacrosse TV. Readying for the start of the fourth quarter in West Long Branch. Behind a 4-goal third quarter, number 8 Rutgers has surged in front of Monmouth 8-5. And Erica, what did the Scarlet Knights do so well in that third quarter?
They picked up the pace big time. They pushed the tempo like Coach Lehman wanted them to do. They relied on their big guns to do what they do best. And we saw a little bit of a lapse in play from Monmouth. Not so much defensively, we talked about, even though it may seem like it that Rutgers scored a number of goals, but they had some big stops here. Monmouth attack really needs to find that cohesion, start working together, looking for each other like they were early on in the game. We haven't seen that so much here in the second half, and they've had some missed opportunities. So just cleaning up the stick work, looking for each other, working for those good opportunities, because we know we have a lot of scorers on this team that can score in a lot of different ways, and we just need to get the ball in their sticks and let them do their thing.
It's Rutgers' turn to commit some fouls as Orban hit the deck. The grad student out of Long Valley, New Jersey. Erica mentioned started her career with the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Last season was the second ever Hawk to be named MAC Midfielder of the Year. Had a career best 44 goals in her first season in West Long Branch. As the ball in her stick right now as Monmouth finds themselves 3 down. Rutgers clamping down defensively in the second half.
See a lot of high pressure from Rutgers defense all over Monmouth's attackers.
That was ball all over McNeely. And Orban has it poked away. Moynihan, good stick work.
You see Rutgers forcing a lot of errors from these Monmouth ball handlers, which someone like Orban, you know, you don't see that very much from her. So all the credit to Rutgers defenders who we know play tough. They give high pressure. Great steal back from Orban to get the ball back in Monmouth's possession. Looked like a little one-handed interception as she just reached out and able to grab it right out of the air. But that is a huge play, down by 3 goals when Rutgers has the ball looking to extend their lead. Not only for excitement purposes, it's kind of be a little bit of a spark plug right there at that moment, but also just to get the ball back with Monmouth to give them another opportunity to try to score here and narrow that gap with Rutgers.
McNeely had a couple of tallies in the first half. Brock had one as well for Monmouth. Loose, near side. Monmouth retains possession halfway through the shot clock.
And that was smart of McNeely to kind of swipe the ball away out of that scuffle for it with 4 players to give herself a little bit of space to work, trusting her own speed and ground ball skills to keep possession there. Unfortunately, Monmouth not able to get a good shot off, get a good look at Cage. Ball is back with Rutgers. Now it's time for Monmouth defense to look for a stop.
Monmouth continuing their homestand 3 days from now against Navy. They won't hit the road until the 22nd when they take on their former league mate in the MAC, Manhattan. For Rutgers, they are home for the first time on Saturday against Georgetown. Then they hit the road to take on Army a week later. And that is Hartshorn adding to the Rutgers lead.
Rutgers continuing on their scoring run. We'll take another look at Hartshorn's goal here, coming around that elbow on the left side. No Monmouth defender able to get close enough to put real pressure on that shot. And you can see her just skim it off the turf past freshman reminder Gia Mitchell.
Second of the afternoon and third of the season for the grad student. And Rutgers has their largest lead of the afternoon as they take a 4-goal lead.
So in this second half, Rutgers really extending their lead on shots, 26 compared to Monmouth's 10. And you can see that. You can see that correlation here with the score as they're up 4 tallies over Monmouth.
Still plenty of time left, nearly 12 minutes in West Long Branch.
Such an important draw control here.
And Spillis gathers. Number 8 team in the preseason poll, Rutgers. Still number 8 after the first week of action. They have turned it around in the second half. Monmouth scored with 2:02 left to play in the second quarter to take a 1-goal lead into the locker room, but it has been all Rutgers in the third quarter, and now the lone tally of quarter number 4.
I'm curious to see if at any point in this final quarter of play we'll see, you know, a shift in the approach either for Rutgers on their attacking end, if they'll slow things down at all, as they don't need to score as much as they did in the first half to get the win and to extend the, or to get the lead and extend the lead. And also, if you'll notice a difference in the way that Monmouth plays defensively, really trying to cause those turnovers and get the ball back in their player stick so they have a fighting chance to close the gap with Rutgers.
Monmouth came up with a defensive stop. But Rutgers comes and gets it right back.
I've seen the ball on the ground quite a bit there from both teams. Rutgers able to come away with it. Another loose ball here in the midfield.
As Dixon flips it ahead to Spillis, and Rutgers sets up offensively.
So Rutgers has plenty of time to work here. You can see how spread they are. They're not even close to the 12-meter. They're way past that. Monmouth now, are they going to bring the pressure on ball? Are they going to stay home a little bit? We still have a lot of lacrosse left to play. We're just under 10 minutes, but you might see some of those shifts in strategy in these final minutes of the game here.
Campo, what a free position goal in the third quarter behind Spillis, who as she was falling down tried to get off a shot.
She wasn't able to handle the pass in the air. She tries to kind of take a little swipe at it off the ground, hockey style, unable to make anything out of that. Ball back here with Monmouth. Let's see if they can hold on to it, get it into their attacking 30, get that set up and see what they can do here.
Have you noticed more defensive pressure from Rutgers in this second half that has led to those Monmouth turnovers?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we've seen Rutgers defense step it up and play the way that they know they can. But I also think we've seen some mistakes from Monmouth as well. Once they gave up that lead, I don't know if it's, you know, the jitters, a little nerves, playing against a big-time program, the concern that you're giving up that lead. But we've seen some mistakes here from the Monmouth ball handlers as well. So if they stand a chance to tighten this game, to get it in closer in reach, they're going to have to clean up those things.
Brennan with ball draped all over her. McNeely is fouled.
Looks like they might have called that against McNeely. Yep, Rutgers has the ball.
Might explain that little bit of a chuckle.
As she drew a double team, it didn't look like either of the Rutgers players committed a foul against McNeely, and it might have called it as an offensive charge against her. If you have a defensive player who's really established their position and the attacker runs in kind of through them, the ball can be awarded as a turnover to the other team, and it looks like that's what happened as she drove. And I mean, not a bad option there to drive hard. You don't want to really force things through a double team, but a lot of times you will draw a foul. But I think when you have an experienced defense like Rutgers, they're good at playing that body position of going for the check when it's there and not forcing anything and putting Monmouth players on the line unnecessarily.
And it's Campo stepping up for this free position opportunity for Rutgers. Has a goal this afternoon on a free position chance. This is center cut. And the senior out of Haddonfield, New Jersey, adds to Rutgers' total.
Nice take from Campo there, right from that top center hash. She goes nice and hard, gets a couple steps in, just able to bury it right past Gia Mitchell on that hip stick side to extend Rutgers' lead.
Fourth free position goal of the afternoon for Rutgers. It's Campo's second of the day and her third of the season. Last year she had 20 goals. And Rutgers doubling up Monmouth with 7:44 left to play.
The next, 7 or 8 minutes of this game is really going to be a test for Monmouth to reveal who they are as a team, what type of players they have. It's hard when you are leading a game and you've given up that lead. Obviously, it's to a very strong opponent in Rutgers, but being able to dig deep and not giving up and still working together to see what you can create, knowing that they can cause turnovers against Rutgers, knowing that they can win draws, that they can score goals. I think the draw has been a big difference here in this second half for Rutgers that has given them the advantage and led to their scoring opportunities.
It was Monmouth with a slight edge in draw controls at the half, 6-5. It's now 10-9 Rutgers in that category.
And the other hustle stat we talked about a couple times throughout the game today was the ground balls, and Rutgers has the edge there too, 23-15, so 8 more. And those 50-50 balls, the balls that are on the ground that really could be anybody's possession, just shows a lot of heart and a lot of hustle when you lead significantly in those categories.
Campo. Warren, that's tic-tac-toe, and another Rutgers goal. Jenny Galski.
Really great way for Rutgers to get a lot of attackers involved. Quick, sharp passing, beautiful finish. We'll take another look here. Player to player to player. Inside, catches the ball, wide open, able to turn and shoot.
It's the first goal of the season for Galski.
And she's a senior coming out of Morristown, New Jersey, a program that's known not only in the state, but I would say in the country for having a strong lacrosse program. And again, another one of those players looking to fill some shoes of some really prolific scorers that have graduated, and her doing her part here for her Rutgers squad today. To extend the lead, Rutgers is now up by 6 with just under 7 minutes of play.
And they've scored all 7 goals that have been scored in this second half, turning a 1-goal deficit into a 6-goal lead. And for Galski, season ago, she had 7 goals, including 4 in the NCAA tournament win in the first round over St. Joseph's. Her first of the 2023 campaign as Rutgers in front by 6. And another draw control victory for the Scarlet Knights.
All right, Monmouth still scoreless, not only through the third quarter, but almost now 2/3 of this fourth quarter as well.
And if you're Rutgers, you can continue to tick some clock down as they operate way up top. Coming off that win over number 19 Jacksonville, in which they were down with 12 minutes to play by 2. And Mitchell makes the save there. First time in her young career, just her second game of the season. True freshman now has made double-digit saves, a 10-save afternoon for the Bridgewater, New Jersey native. Monmouth catches a break there on that long outlet pass that was tipped by a Rutgers defender.
Brock looking to feed it middle. No one there to grab that pass. Brendan luckily able to keep it in play here with Monmouth's attacking 7.
Andrew Byrne alongside Erica Kaufman-D'Elia, our producer Andrew Kurtz. We thank you for joining us on a Wednesday afternoon. A picture-perfect day in the middle of February for women's lacrosse, where number 8 Rutgers has a 6-goal lead over Monmouth as we come down on the final 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Oh, Brennan tried to go behind her back.
Brennan wide open in the middle of the 8, tries to get that behind the back shot off. Looked like Sophia Cardella with the stop. Ball stayed in play with Monmouth.
lead to a free position as we get another look.
And you could see Caroline Brennan here cutting into the, able to catch it wide open. Didn't think she had the time or space to turn back right. Those behind the back shots are pretty deceptive and hard for a goalie to see exactly where they're coming from. That's why they often have success, and you see them way more often in recent years, especially I mentioned the sticks now too. The technology is so different to be able to take those different and creative shots. It was a right spot for her to take it. Unfortunately, it didn't land here. Another scoring opportunity for Monmouth, unable to convert. Ball is back with the Red.
Couple of big saves from Cardello, first on Brennan and then on Mangum on the free position. So Cardello keeps Monmouth off the score sheet in this second half. She's made 5 saves this afternoon. Had 10 saves in the season opener. Here's Carp.
Good double team without a foul from Monmouth defenders. Carp getting back into her normal defensive position. Rutgers comes back to their 7 attackers. And again, with the 6-goal lead, just under 4 minutes left, you'll see Rutgers keep working. They want to see if they can extend their lead. Obviously, they want to play a full, strong 60 minutes to help them prepare for their conference play, but really no sense of urgency for them here to put points up. They'll keep working for those good opportunities, but not forcing anything if it's not there for them.
Game in which 6 different players have found the back of the net for Rutgers. 4 from Cassidy Spillis to lead the way. And that is a trip. And it will lead to a free position chance for Monmouth. Monmouth is still searching for that first goal of half number 2. Cardello with her 3rd save over the last 90 or so seconds.
Auburn able to get the ground ball to keep the ball in play here with Monmouth.
Brennan flips it behind the net. 3 minutes to play in West Long Branch.
Rutgers D has just played so tight and so tough in the second half. They really haven't seen a lot of scoring opportunities for Monmouth's attack.
Murphy out high.
See, every time there's a ball handle in any sort of threatening scoring position, you see 2 red shirts there ready to put the pressure on.
I believe that ball took a right turn off the official as Rutgers has possession. And a reminder that today's broadcast of Monmouth University Women's Lacrosse on Lacrosse TV is brought to you in part by Jersey Mike Subs. Be a sub above. And by World Subaru. Get more for your money at World Subaru. Rutgers with possession with a 6-goal lead. Spillis might have deflected off of Mitchell, aiming for her 5th of the day.
Spillis cranked that hard and high, but it looked like Gia Mitchell was able to get a stick on it to prevent it from scoring.
Well, if you're a Monmouth fan, still a lot to like from their effort against a nationally ranked opponent this afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. Monmouth had nothing to lose going into this game. I think if you would ask most players, if you look at this, or lacrosse fans, if you looked at both teams, this wasn't an expected win for Monmouth. It's not a have-to win for Monmouth, but there's so many good things that come out of it. Learning about what's working for them, learning where they need to clean things up. It's just going to make them better to get to this level of play that they're really working toward as one of these top programs like Rutgers is.
Had a lead at the half, but Rutgers has held Monmouth goalless over the first 29 minutes of this second half. A minute to play in West Long Branch.
Monmouth able to capitalize off of a Rutgers mistake. You have Carly Mangum there carrying the ball up through the midfield. Looking for McNeely. Oh, nice open cutter in the middle of the 8. Unable to make connection there.
Brennan let one rip, and another save for Cardello. She has had herself a strong fourth quarter on what becomes her 7th save of the afternoon. Well, Rutgers fell behind early. Monmouth had a 3-1 lead at one point, led by 1 at the half, 5-4. But Rutgers outscores Monmouth in this second half. 7-0. And the Scarlet Knights open the season 2-0, while handing Monmouth their first loss of 2023. The Hawks drop to 1-1. Rutgers comes into West Long Ranch for the first time in 3 seasons and comes away with the 6-goal victory, 11-5, the final score. And you hate to sound cliche, partner, but this is one of those coach speak, tale of two half kind of games.
It absolutely is. We had a battle, exactly what we thought we would see amongst these two talented, tough
Gia Mitchell made 10 saves, a new career high. She dropped to 1-1, while Sophia Cardello improves to 2-0. For producer Andrew Kurtz and my partner Erica Kaufman-Dalia,